Hello, hello. Hello, if you can see and hear me okay, welcome along. Please make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you can comment in the live chat, which should be, is it over that side or over that side? I don't know. Somewhere around there. But if you can let me know where you are watching from and say hello in the live chat, that would be fantastic. And then I can make sure everything's working okay and know that we are good to get started here. So it's 4 p.m. UK time, very warm today, quite warm and wet here in kind of cloudy Cheshire at the moment. So today I've got a new live training to walk through, and if you're looking for original ideas, you're looking to come up with original ideas for your designs, this will be really interesting for you today. So let me know in the live chat where you're watching from. Say hello so that I can get a good feel for everything, and let me know, give me a thumbs up if you can see and hear me okay, and if the sound quality's all right and if the picture's okay. That would be wonderful. All right, we're just going to give a couple of minutes while people pile in. If this is your first time watching me, let me just pull up my slides and we will get started. But yeah, do let me know where you are. Oh, we got Andy in the live chat. Hello, Andy. Hope you're doing well. Eric is here. Hello, Eric. Nice to see you. Andy is from the Midlands. Lovely. Not too far. Hour or two's drive down south from where I'm at. Eric says new office. Actually been in this office for about a year now. It's coming up on a year. Excuse me. Yeah, so it's a bit smaller than the previous one. We've downsized a bit, and that's because it's just me in the office almost all of the time anyway. So yeah, I've got a couple of workstations. I do most of my video stuff on this one and live calls, and then that's where I do most of my writing and planning and scheming. And I've got my iPad hooked up here, so we'll do some scribbling here today as well. Dina's in the house. Janine from Texas. All right, wonderful. Great. Okay, I'm assuming that we're good. We've got the thumbs up on the quality and stuff. So should we dive into it here today? I don't want to waste anyone's time, so let's crack on. Here we go. So, how to discover great ideas like a pro. And if you don't know who I am, my name's Michael Essek. I'm a t-shirt designer primarily. I have been creating designs since about 2013 and uploading them to sites like Redbubble and Merch by Amazon and TeePublic and TeeFury and Threadless. And over that time, a couple of years, took a couple of years before we started making some kind of consistent income from those, a couple of thousand a month. And then Merch by Amazon was when it really blew up. And then from about 2018, 2019, we started licensing, doing art licensing with our designs to other stores. So brick and mortar stores like Hot Topic and Spencer's in the States, and supermarkets like Sainsbury's here in the UK. And you may have seen me do trainings and teaching sessions for people like Adobe and GoodType and Printify and Printful. So I've done worn a few hats. I've taught people how to design. I've taught people how to come up with ideas, and yeah, that's me. So if you're interested in coming up with original ideas and how I've built this business that essentially takes ideas, turns them into designs, and then earns money from the royalties, then stay tuned. Okay, who else have we got? We got Sherry in the chat. We've got Atcom Jeff from Salem, Oregon. Wonderful. Thank you guys for joining me today. That's great to see where everyone's watching from. That's really cool. Okay, so the kind of designs I create, funny stuff like some of the stuff you can see here and here and here. So puns, original puns, original ideas, standalone ideas. I also like to hop on trends like you can see here some of the Kamala Harris coconut tree stuff that sold I don't know, how long ago was that now? Has it been a year? It probably is about a year, isn't it, since that? So I like to do lots of different things. I entered lots of different niches and topics. I don't stay stuck in one particular place, but I like to make ideas the main thing. So if I think an idea is good enough, strong enough, funny enough, then I'll create it and I'll put it out there and I'll see what hits. So today what we're going to talk about is why good ideas are like fish. And don't worry if it doesn't make any sense. I'm going to get to it here in a minute. How to fish for good ideas. And then finally, why you don't need to be completely original to actually make a good income doing this kind of business. So that's what we're going to get into here today. Now, we do have, I will leave time for questions. I will leave time for questions at the end. But if you do have questions as I go through, just drop them in the live chat. I've got the live chat open here on my screen so I can see it. So if you've got something that's, really pressing question that you want to ask, don't worry about saving it for the end. You can just go and drop it in the live chat at any point. And there will be a replay of this. This is not going to be taken down immediately, so there'll be a replay which you can get afterwards. You will need to be subscribed to the YouTube channel, to my YouTube channel, to actually comment in the live chat to ask questions. So if you want to ask questions, you might want to subscribe now so that you have the opportunity to do so. But I think that's it on the housekeeping rules. So, should we dive into this here today, unless anyone's got any pressing questions that are really burning a hole in their heads? I don't think so, so let's go. Okay, so first up, who is this for, before we get into it? So, designers. So if you're someone who can design things, you can make something look nice. This would typically mean that you are proficient in a software like Photoshop or Illustrator or Affinity Designer or Affinity Pro, or maybe even something like Kittle or whatever. But maybe that's your job. You're a graphic designer. You're someone who makes logos or does illustration or something like that. Basically, if it's proven that you can make things look nice, and one of the best ways to prove that is that someone gives you money for that. So if you're already employed or already making money that way, then this will be of interest to you. People with taste. So what I mean by this is that you can tell good things from bad things. You can tell something that's funny from something that's not funny. You can maybe tell something that looks good or is appropriate from something that looks bad. And I'll explain why this matters a little bit later on. And finally, artists who are willing or able to adapt. So I think a lot of my success over the years has been because I've been able to create designs that appeal to a certain market and not to limit myself to just one particular market. So if there's an idea for a particular niche or topic, then I've been able to adapt and create designs for that, and to think, what's going to work for this, what fonts are going to work, what colors, what vibe, what style are we going for, so that each of my designs could look completely different from the previous one because we're targeting a completely different market or niche, or maybe the concept itself calls for quite a different design. So if you're able to do that, if you're able to adapt, if you're willing to do that, and I say willing because a lot of artists actually, they're like, okay, this is my thing, this is my style, and I want to do this, and I want to sell this. If that's you, this is probably not going to be a great fit for you. But if you're willing to say, you know what, I understand that I've got these skills as a designer, I can make things look nice, and I'm not going to limit myself to just creating one type of design. I'm going to be able to, I'm willing to take those skills and be like a hired hand for whatever the concept or the idea calls for, then I think you'll get something out of this today. Okay, this email dropped in my inbox this week. Redbubble, you've made a sale. Now, that's not something special. I make sales on Redbubble every single day. But this one said you've made a sale $32.23. And if you know anything about Redbubble, I don't know whether you can see this too well, but it says it there in the subject line of the email. It says how much you've made from it. And this isn't what the person paid, this is actually your royalty. So typically, I have designs that sell every day on stickers on Redbubble, and the email says you've made a sale, and it says like $1.50 or $2 or something like that. So this one caught my eye because it said $32. I was like, that's okay, what did someone buy? So I opened it up, and it said you made a sale, congratulations on your recent sale, and it said 20 stickers of Live, Laugh, something, which is the name of the design. I'm not going to show you the design for perhaps obvious reasons, but obviously I don't really want people copying this design. But yeah, it said you've sold 20 of these stickers. Your price was $3.22 for a sticker, and you've made £23 or $32. So the total price, what the actual person paid, so someone bought $64 worth of stickers in this one sale, which is pretty surprising. That doesn't happen every day. But what was more surprising was that this particular design, this Live, Laugh, something design, Eric's guessing in the in the comments. He says live, laugh, pay taxes. It wasn't that. No. Good guess though, Eric, and that's a good finish to the sentence. But this design actually, it went up literally less than 48 hours before this sale happened. So what I mean by that is the design was uploaded to Redbubble 48 hours before. Now, if you've been in the game print on demand, if you've been selling on Redbubble or Merch by Amazon or Etsy for any length of time, you've probably had designs sell pretty quickly, like within a couple of days, maybe within a couple of hours. Especially on Amazon, that's not actually that incredible. But this was strange for me. What was particularly interesting again about this was not tied to a particular trend that's happening right now. This is not tied to a political thing or any kind of viral meme. It's actually more of a kind of a slow burn kind of phrase that's kind of just been knocking around for at least like a couple of months, maybe even more than that. So it's not this kind of, immediate trend that you would be like, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense. This is very hot right now. So I managed to grab onto a winner. It's more like, wow, that's weird. I uploaded it yesterday. It sold today. Someone's paid $64 for 20 of these stickers, and it's not something that is particularly hot, particularly crazy. It's not something that you're going to see a big spike on Google Trends for or anything like that. It's just this kind of slow burn, funny idea. So, and it's not, yeah, see some more guesses coming in. Windsorpedia says live, laugh, buy stickers. No, it's not that. Andy says live, laugh, toaster bath. No, I've seen that joke. That's pretty good, but no, it's not that either. And you can guess all you like, that's fine. I'm not going to show you though. But what I will say is, this is a phrase that didn't exist before I uploaded it. So it's not something that I've seen a phrase like live, laugh, toaster bath where, you might think, oh, that's a funny joke. I'll do my own version of that. It's not that. It's a completely original, phrase ending here. Of course, it does have live, laugh in the start, but it doesn't end with anything that had previously existed. So if you were to search for it, of course, you'd see my design, but you would see nothing else. This is like the only version of this thing that exists. And of course, that was the case before I created it. That was the case when I had the idea. I was just like, oh, this is a funny idea. I think it's funny. I think it might work. I know it doesn't exist, but I think someone else might find it funny. And 48 hours after I uploaded it, I was proved right. You can see this was 3 days ago, 14th of July. Someone shelled out for it. Now, all that to say, this is what original ideas is all about. This is what it's. This is the angle. This is the strategy. It's create something, put it out there, see if it sticks. No pun intended. And sometimes it does, and sometimes it comes back with big winners like this, and a lot of times it doesn't. But what's great about this is if this phrase catches on, guess what? My design is going to be there. It's going to be the first one there. It's going to be the top of the results. It's going to be the top of the rankings, and it will just sit there while people keep buying it and sharing it and laughing about it and, sharing memes of it or whatever it might be. So this is why I just wanted to share this up front. I'll talk a little bit more about this example or how I came up with this idea here in a few minutes. But I just want to share this at the top just to say this is really the story of my portfolio. This is what the majority of my designs are. This is certainly what the majority of my bestsellers are. They are original phrases that didn't previously exist, that I thought were funny, that I created, and enough of them have taken off to build a successful business off the back of them. So yeah, what we'll talk about today is how to go from occasional good idea haver, so someone who occasionally has good ideas, to someone who has hundreds of original, profitable ideas on demand, which is, of course, what you want. These days, we have the ability to churn out designs like never before, thanks to AI. But in order to create lots of original ideas like this, you're going to have lots of original ideas in the first place. You can't create the designs unless you've got the ideas. So let's talk about catching good ideas. And just to reiterate this particular, what I'm talking about here, when I say idea, what I mean is usually it's a phrase. It's usually something that can be summed up in a sentence, but it isn't something tangible. It's not a design. A design is what you create. A design is a PNG file or a PSD, or it's something you can visualize and see. That's pixels on a screen, but an idea is something in your head. It could be a concept. And actually, you know, this idea, going back to this one here, this idea, this phrase, the design I created, I think, is a reason why it sold. It's a good design. I created it in a nice way. But that phrase could be adapted in many different ways. You know, the actual design could have been, 20, 30, 40, 50, hundreds of different designs from one idea. So we're talking here about how do you come up with the ideas, because that's really the foundation. We won't be talking about how do you design it so much here today, but we're talking about how do you come up with these things, which is really the motivation. Like the reason someone bought this, the reason someone bought these stickers was not because the design was so incredible. It was because this phrase, this joke, made them laugh. They saw something in that they really liked. So yeah, that's what we're talking about. How to come up with ideas. Why do we want good ideas in the first place? Well, most people, when it comes to print on demand, and certainly if you've been around the space any length of time, you'll see that a lot of people come in and they just copy what already exists, or they create, because maybe they don't have any experience in the space, they create very generic designs. So they'll create, happy birthday, or world's best dad, or world's best grandma, or whatever it might be, like really generic stuff. Or if they're from a kind of artistic background, they'll go completely the other scale and just do whatever they want to do. They'll just be creating pretty patterns or illustrating characters. And usually that would be like without any kind of text, without any kind of phrase or joke. It would just be, oh, these are my characters that I draw, or this is a nice pattern I've created. And so they go what I call like super unique. And that would be, yes, it would be unique, but that's kind of different from what I mean when I say original. So the danger here is that people copy what already exists, which is obviously kind of that's a very difficult way to make consistent sales, because you're just having to constantly copy people, and you have to constantly fight for every sale against things that already exist and everyone else who's already copying exactly the same things you're copying. Or you're doing generic stuff, which again, super competitive. Or you go too far to the other extreme and do something that nobody's searching for and nobody's interested in. Just this week, I had an email from someone who said, I've created 300 unique designs and I've not sold any of them. And my initial thought was, okay, I think I know what these are going to look like. I actually asked them, could you send me a link so I can just, maybe offer you some constructive criticism? They weren't able to even send me a link to what they'd created. They told me to Google a certain thing, and I did Google it, but I couldn't find anything. And I was like, oh, come on, like, this is what I'm dealing with. People are not really trying to market their stuff, shall we say, or making it very difficult for people to find and enjoy stuff. So that's what I mean by going too unique. So why we want good ideas is good original ideas allow us to tap into undiscovered opportunities and own them. So like that sticker example that I just gave, if you own a phrase like that, and I don't mean trademark, I just mean I was the first to it. I've got my designs up. My design is up on Redbubble and TeePublic and Amazon and Etsy and Threadless and various different places. When someone searches for that phrase now, they're going to find my design. If someone copies it, they're going to be second under my design. They're always going to be chasing me. I'm always a step ahead of them. So it allows us to tap into undiscovered opportunities that people don't know about yet. Even I didn't know about it yet. I was just kind of guessing. And it allows me to then sit on that opportunity and basically, plant my flag in the ground and say, this is mine. I'm defending it. I'm going to, create more designs like this, and I'm going to make the most of it and reap the rewards. And also, good and original ideas is how you build a brand. If you think about why people consistently follow people on Instagram or artists on Instagram or something like that, it's because they're doing something that's both good and original. If they could find it everywhere else, then they wouldn't follow you. And if it wasn't good, if it didn't ring a bell with them, if it didn't hook them in some way, then they wouldn't be following. So good and original is how you can build a brand, but also how you can benefit from passive, organic platforms where people are searching for stuff, and where you can just show up without necessarily having to do, a ton of marketing or paid ads or something like that. Okay, so that's why we want good ideas, but how do we actually find good ideas? And I want to give you this analogy that finding good ideas is like fishing. So here's you fishing. No, I don't fish. I've never been fishing. I don't really know. I mean, I get the basic principle, I think, of fishing. But yeah, good ideas is like fishing. And I think it was actually, I think it's either Paul McCartney or John Lennon said about, someone asked them how they come up with ideas for songs. And they said that ideas are out there like floating about, and you just have to grab them and pull them in. They exist. You don't invent ideas, you catch them or you grab them. I don't know whether it's Paul McCartney or John Lennon, but one of them said that. And that stuck with me. I think that is very true, because ideas are, especially if you think about, just sticking with this thing about writing songs for a minute, like John Lennon, Paul McCartney sit down with a guitar. They did not invent the C chord that they're going to use for that song. The C chord existed. I don't even know who was the first person to write down the C chord on a guitar or whatever, but the note exists and it's apart from us. No one invented it. And they didn't invent putting C before G and then F and then back to G. These things work quite apart from whether you you put them in that order, but that order already kind of works. That's why so many songs use exactly the same chord progressions and stuff like that. So these things exist, and this is the same with ideas. Ideas are actually good. There's chord progressions that work and that we recognize and go, oh yeah, that works. I like that sound. In the same way, ideas work. Jokes work on similar principles. They either work or they don't. And so this fishing analogy, if I can show you this. So fishing for ideas. I can just see Ellen's joined in the live chat. Hello, Ellen. Hope you're doing okay from London. Great. Fishing is like trying to catch fish, like trying to catch good ideas. So if you are fishing and you've been fishing for several hours and you haven't caught anything, or all you've got is old boots, then you wouldn't tell someone to just go and fish harder, try harder, keep going, just try. You got to fish harder. That's not how it works. If you've been fishing for hours and you've not caught any fish, then you need to change something about what you're doing. You need to go where the fish are, or you need to change whatever it is, the bait or something like that you're using. So ideas are like fish. They exist. They're out there. But if you're not catching them, you need to relocate. You need to go somewhere where there's some fish, or maybe you need to change. Maybe your bait or your technique or your process or something. Something's got to change because you're not catching any fish. But we know the fish exist. There's definitely fish in the sea or in the river somewhere. Fish have not disappeared. They have not all been fished out of the river, and you can go and find them. Now, one guy going and trying to catch ideas or trying to catch fish is fine. This is maybe your standalone artist who's trying to catch an idea once in a while. But if you want to really build a solid business, like one guy fishing isn't a business. That's a hobby, right? You fish for fun. He's probably not going to catch enough fish that he can sell them or anything like that. He's certainly not going to catch enough that he can sell them and make an income. But if you get a great big trawler and a great big dragnet or something, and you go out into the ocean and you have a staff of several people, then you can catch enough fish to make a seriously decent business from selling those fish. So that's the analogy I want to leave with you. Number one, the fish are out there. You just got to move yourself and catch them. And also, you can operate like a standalone fisherman, catching the odd fish here and there, or you can be like a trawler and a fishing boat company who actually go out and collect massive amounts of fish, massive amounts of good ideas, and deploy them and make an income from them. So, I'll let that one stew for a second, but the point is, creativity isn't magic. It's about creating the right conditions or putting yourself in the right position so that you can find these ideas, find these fish. And you can actually create those conditions if you know what to look for. Just like a good fisherman will know that, hey, I can sell the fish out here, or I know a good place to go and look for this type of fish, or all the I don't know, what kind of fish are there? Kippers or plaice or mackerel or whatever. They all hang out around this area. I'm going to go around that area because I'm looking for mackerel today or whatever. So if you know what to look for, you can create those conditions. You can actually, move yourself to where the ideas are. You can actually relocate. So second point, good ideas come from a lot of ideas. This guy is called Linus Pauling. He won not one, but two Nobel Prizes for chemistry. And he said the best way to have a good idea is to have a lot of ideas. I don't know why there's an extra period there. That shouldn't be there. But he did say that. He didn't say it like that. He didn't say the best way to have a good idea is to have a lot of ideas. He said the best way to have a good idea is to have a lot of ideas, and he's absolutely right. And this is not it's not just one guy's opinion. It's not just me who agrees with him. If you go and listen to really any expert in creativity, in idea generation, in problem solving, you will find this again and again, that looking at a lot of potential solutions, a lot of potential ideas is the best way to narrow it down and find those good ideas, the actual winning solutions to things. And the typical way that most creatives and most artists and designers approach ideas, or actually anyone trying to come up with ideas, is something like this. So you will think and read and absorb information. That's like step one. So, I don't know, if you're trying to come up with particular ideas around a topic, you might read about that topic and read the Wikipedia page or read some books or whatever. And then you would just kind of let your brain subconsciously make connections between things. So your brain in the background, like not consciously, but, this is why a lot of people say a good way to come up with ideas is just kind of absorb lots of information and then just go for a walk and don't try to think, just kind of relax or go do something else. And then you arrive at good ideas. So they just pop into your head, right? And we've probably all had this experience where an idea pops into your head. You weren't trying to whip up an idea. You weren't thinking hard about, generating an idea, but something popped into your head. And it happens because it happens subconsciously. And this is why, and maybe this has happened to you as well, I've had a lot of ideas that just came to me either as I'm drifting off to sleep at night or as I'm waking up in the morning, that kind of, in between time. This kind of idea just forms in my head. It could be a phrase, could be like a visual. I remember one particular one which was really clear, this visual idea, and that became a bestseller for me. And it just came to me, as I was just waking up. Now, of course, when I think about that idea, the elements of it had been kind of floating around in my head for a couple of days. I'd been seeing this particular graphic. It was like a parody idea. I'd been seeing this graphic used elsewhere. And obviously my brain had just kind of put these two elements together and brought me this idea. So this is what happens. People arrive at good ideas subconsciously, which is great. But the problem is we don't want occasional good ideas. if we want to take advantage of this opportunity we've got, if we want to come up with the best ideas, really good ideas, then we need a steady flow of new ideas, because the more ideas we have, the more designs we can create, and the better our results will be. So we can't rely on this typical way of coming up with ideas, because it's just slow. It's occasional. And yes, you can absolutely come up with good ideas this way, and this is great, and you should always be open to that. But that's no way to run a business. You can't have a factory where, the inputs for the factory only arrive randomly once every month, or even less than that, or they arrived last week but now they're not arriving for 2 weeks, or we don't know when the next batch is arriving. We need a steady flow of new inputs, of new ideas, so that we can generate those designs, and lots of them. So the better way to come up with ideas is still to do step one. Like, absolutely you should read and absorb information. It's really, really important, I think, for you to be familiar with a market, at least at a kind of deeper than a surface level. Like, you need to understand a topic better than the average Joe, I would say. Excuse me. Because you need to be able to come up with, you need to understand what's going to appeal to them. So you still need to do that thinking, reading, absorbing information. This would be about your topic or about your subject. But then you need to use repeatable processes to uncover potential ideas. So instead of just relying on your brain to subconsciously do things, actually actively, let's use some things we can rely on. We can actually repeatably do these same processes over and over again to uncover potential ideas. And then you pick the best ones and you rinse and repeat. So not just going, okay, I'm going to rely on my brain to bring me some ideas and hopefully they'll come, but actually consciously, objectively, purposefully trying to come up with using some repeatable processes that you can use over and over and over again. So I'll give you a couple of examples here. But first, and kind of related to that, this is why you don't need to be completely original. Just going back to that previous slide, you're going to use repeatable processes. That means you're not going to be constantly coming up with things that are completely out of the blue and completely crazy, which is good. That's actually good, and I'm going to tell you why. This is why you don't need to be completely original. Good ideas follow patterns, okay? This is true, like we gave the example previously with writing a song. Good songs follow patterns. If you have a song that goes from, I don't know, let's say it goes from G to B minor to F flat, it's not going to work. And you can force it as much as you like, but no one's going to like that song because it doesn't follow an established pattern that we recognize and we like. The same is true with jokes. Jokes follow a pattern. Now, jokes are pattern interrupts, which means you have this, you have the why did the chicken cross the road? And then you have the punchline, right? You have the setup and the punchline, and those two things bump up against each other. That's what causes the joke. But if you think about it, the pattern of a pattern interrupt is also a pattern, right? You have to have a setup and then you have to have a punchline. That's a pattern. And so jokes that don't follow that pattern, not really jokes. Almost, if you give me a joke and say this is a joke and it doesn't have a pattern interrupt, then chances are it's not a joke or it's not a good joke. And more likely, I can look at any joke you give me and say, well, there's the pattern interrupt. See, that's where it is. We were expecting this and we got that instead. That's the conflict. That's the pattern interrupt. So that is in itself a pattern. For example, puns follow rules, right? If a pun is to be a pun, it has to have a double meaning attached to it. Otherwise, it's not really a pun. And I'll give you an example of this in a second here. So good ideas follow these patterns. There are rules, whether, I don't know who invented them, whether they're cosmic, whether they're, whether God gave us these patterns, but there are patterns that exist in the same way that, chord structures exist, or matching chocolate with cream and vanilla and stuff, that's a pattern that works. These are all established patterns. So what amateurs try to be 100% original, whereas professionals use what already works. Professionals have understood and noticed patterns. Professional chefs have noticed patterns in taste. Professional musicians have noticed patterns in music. Professional producers have noticed, this beat works well with this and da-da-da-da-da. So professionals use what works, they figure out what works, and then they adapt it and they create time and time again. It's like Picasso said, good artists copy and great artists steal. The real amateur just copies directly. He just says, okay, I'm just going to photocopy that. But the good artist knows what to steal from where, figures out the pattern, and then steals, that color palette is really good, I'm going to steal that. Or that, that one-liner is really funny, I'm going to steal the start of that one-liner, the live, laugh part, and then I'm going to do my own part on this part. So that's really what we mean by that is using these patterns that already exist, stealing, if you like, patterns that already exist, but then adapting them to do something original and different. So I'll give you an example here, a practical example here of how to come up with an original pun using a pattern framework that anyone can use and that already exists. So I call this the rhyme and replace method. Some of you will have seen me do this before, but it bears repetition. So let's say it's Christmas, you want to come up with some Christmas ideas. This is how this works. You pick a topic like Christmas, and then you find a word related to that topic. So in this case, I'm going to use the word manger. And then rhyming puns, rhyme and replace puns as I call them, that's where you have a phrase and then you change out one of the words. So like grin and bear it, you change that to grin and scare it for Halloween or something like that. So here we've got a word manger. And then what we need to do is find a word that rhymes with that word. Now, this is really easy because there's free tools out there like rhymezone.com. You can just go in, type the word manger, and it will list out all the words that rhyme with manger. So we pick one of those words, in this case, manger, rhyming word, danger. And then we can go to something called the free dictionary, and particularly the idioms of the free dictionary. And what this is this a big database of idioms and phrases, and you can search that for words that appear in those phrases. So we can do a search for danger, and this brought back the phrase highway to the danger zone. In fact, it didn't. It just brought back danger zone. But I'll show you why in a second. So highway to the danger zone, and then all you have to do is swap out that word with the rhyming word, right? We swap out danger with manger, and that gives us highway to the manger zone. And that led me to this design, which I created a couple of years ago, which has sold pretty well since, highway to the manger zone. Now, of course, on top of that phrase, I've been able to do the kind of Top Gun style graphics and draw my little, magi walking to the nativity. But this is how you can come up with original ideas like this simply by using this rhyming pattern that works. And this works for any niche, any topic. All you need is a couple of rhyming words, and you just need these elements. You need an idiom and you need a rhyming pair. That's all you need. Now you can do this yourself. You can do it manually. You can do it as I've described here. You can go and apply this again and again and again. All you need is different words. But I actually developed a way to do this faster. I actually came up with this idea inside my software. Ideally, I'll just show you how I did it. So we have this tool called the Rhyme and Replace tool. So here I just entered the word manger. I'll just zoom in a bit here. And what this does is it basically goes and does that process that I just walked you through, but instead of me having to choose what word, it actually searches for all the rhyming words. So it searches all the words that rhyme with manger, and then it searches all the idioms that feature any of those rhyming words. And this brings back the examples you can see here. There's the one that I did, that I saved, highway to the danger zone, highway to the manger zone. We've got manger things, we've got game manger, manger than fiction, the lone manger, and so on. So this has brought back only a couple of ideas really here. Also brings back some visual ones like the Manger or Stranger Things logo, or Manger League Baseball, movie quotes like "What is your manger malfunction?" and so on. So this is a great way to come up with ideas, and this has only brought back a relatively small amount for this word because there's not that many rhyming words with that with that word. But occasionally here you can get back hundreds, you can even get back thousands of results using this software and using this thing. So that's what I mean by by established patterns, like not doing something completely original. You know, there's not much about this design which is original. We're using established color palette, we're using an established font and style. We're using a phrase that people recognize, but the thing we've done that's original is we've swapped out one word for another, and we've come up with a joke, a one-liner that didn't previously exist, or certainly hadn't been done in t-shirt form like this before. And that's how you can come up with, you know, lots of phrases like that. Now, this is just one pattern. Like, this is a rhyming pun pattern. Now, if you want to find rhyming puns, you can use the rhyme and replace tool inside one method. That's just one approach. Using the back now. Sorry about that, guys. I think we're good. So yeah, that's just one way. It's a bit like rhyming puns. You could think of they're like one type of fish, right? They're like mackerel. So if you want to find mackerel, if you want to find rhyming puns, then this is a great way to find those. Like, you can use this technique. That's one way to find them and repeat this. Or even quicker, you can use ideally and make your life a lot easier. But that's just one. Like, that's one type of fish. What if I want to catch, I don't know, bass fish or something? I don't know. I don't know anything about fishing. But there's other ones. Like here, like this example that I gave previously, this idea of live, laugh, something. This is not a rhyming pun. This was not a rhyming joke like the previous example I gave you. So we actually have a different way. We have another location we can go to inside Ideally to find those types of ideas. Now, I would call those like one-liners or plug-in phrases, or even snow clones is another term for them. And those would be like phrases like this, where you have basically you have a blank which you want to fill in. So ask me about something, or born to something, or did someone say something? And these like live, laugh, something, right? So, what did someone said before? Like live, laugh, pay taxes. So like we could put in here pay taxes, and we can scroll through lots of examples of ideas where that might be a good fit. Now, some of them won't work, but some of them will. And in particular, we can filter down and look at ones where that might work. So. Peace, love, and pay taxes might work, or born to pay taxes, or something like that. You know, we've got lots of ideas we can scroll through, and actually we've got thousands of these phrases, so we can scroll through literally thousands of potential ideas and find ones that work. Not all of them are going to work, but this is how we can do, you know, not just one, not just two, but this is how we can keep ourselves stacked with loads and loads of original ideas coming through. And this is how actually I found this idea here. It's how I came up with the live, laugh, something sticker design, which sold 20 earlier this week. It was literally just scrolling through here, or in particular, I'd put in my phrase here, and I saw this idea and thought, yeah, that'll work. I'm going to use that. So that's another pattern. So yeah, what you want to do is you want to have these systems, you want to have these processes. What you need is really a systematic approach to idea generation if this is going to work for you. You can get you can catch the occasional fish by sitting by the side with a fishing rod, and you can catch the occasional fish and you'll feel good, and you make the occasional sale, and that's great. But if you want to actually make a sustainable income, if you want to make a couple of $1,000 a month or more, then you can't make that by catching the odd good idea here and there. You need a great big trawler net, you need a great big fishing net, and you need to load yourself with lots and lots of ideas. And that's the reason I created my course, The Ideas Workshop, which is a complete, comprehensive look at how to come up with not just one type of idea, but all these different types of ideas. So all these different types, these are all like different types of fish. Like wordstorming is mackerel, and then low-hanging fruit, rhyme and replace is mackerel. And then wordstorming is like place, and then plug-in phrases is like squid. I don't know. So each type is like a different type of fish that you want to catch, for a different type of good idea. And each one of these is taught inside this this Ideas Workshop course, each one with worksheets, with over-the-shoulder videos where you see me putting it into practice. So you get a complete education and you can understand these methods, and you have, once you've gone through this course, a complete system and process so that you can come up with your own original ideas, lots of them. No matter what the topic is, what the trend is, what the niche is, what the market is, you'll be able to come up with lots of original ideas across all these different idea types. Now, we don't just teach you inside the Ideas Workshop, you don't just learn that stuff. We actually give you 12 months access to, ideally, to the software that you've just seen me using. And obviously I don't have time to cover like everything that's in the software here, but this has various different tools to come up with ideas for the different idea types. And it also has now this the AI image generation for actually coming up with graphics for designs. So not only can we generate the ideas inside Ideally, we can actually churn out the designs really quickly as well. We have like a bulk creation feature here, so we can save, we can select multiple ideas and then just quickly get a couple of versions of this really quickly. So there I just selected a few of my saved ideas. I just said, I want you to put this text with a picture of an angry raccoon. And it's already going to start spitting out some graphics for us so we can start saying, oh, this works or this doesn't, or, this is a good style for that or not. So that's Ideally, we include that inside the Ideas Workshop. And and you can see on screen here just a couple of comments and testimonials from people who are using this and really enjoying it and generating funny ideas. So Ideally and the Ideas Workshop is really the comprehensive solution if you want to build this systematic approach, this systematic solution for coming up with ideas, turning them into designs at scale. But this is not all that we've got on offer today. We've also got a bonus included, which is my T-shirt business master plan course. This is a $999 value course, which I taught way back in 2017, the whole foundations of my business, how I structure everything, my Google Sheets, my spreadsheets, everything that I organize my business around. That's included completely free when you buy the Ideas Workshop. That course has been really foundational for a lot of people, help people go from, $0 to several $100s to several $1,000s a month over years and months. And then on top of that, we have a couple of other bonus courses. We have my dedicated course on designing t-shirts the right way, which is all about actually the designing process, coming up with appropriate graphics for those ideas that you've generated. And also my Total Trends Toolkit course, which again is another $249 value course. This is how I spot trends out in the wild and how I, in particular, one particular trend, how I was able to create designs for that and ride that trend, a kind of viral trend that took off to several hundred sales in a very short space of time. We also do bi-weekly live calls inside the Ideas Workshop, and you get a private onboarding call so you can ask me questions directly and get help. During those bi-weekly live calls, you can get design feedback. I preview new features that we're working on, questions and answers, all the stuff that you might need help with, we can help you on with our bi-weekly live calls. So this is everything that's included inside the Ideas Workshop and Ideally package. You get the Ideally Pro account, 12 months access, which is a $1,164 value. You get the Ideas Workshop course, which is $749, the T-shirt business master plan, $999, the bi-weekly live calls, $480 value, the Total Trends Toolkit course and designing T-shirts the right way, the private onboarding call, total value well over $3,000. But right now you can get a lifetime discount and lock it in for just $749 a year, which is a steal at this price. So there's a 14-day satisfaction guarantee. You can check it out at ideally.app/offer. I will just quickly pop the link in there for you if you want to check it out. And that's available right now at ideally.app/offer. Like I say, you get 14-day satisfaction guarantee. You can cancel anytime. You get access to me every other week through our live calls. You get an onboarding call, and you get all the courses that we talked about, plus 12 months access to a Pro Ideally account, which gives you 800 image generation credits every single month. So you can basically load up with ideas, churn them into designs really quickly, and do it all at an incredible price. If that's a bit too much of a commitment for you right now and you just like to kind of dip your feet in, then I have a standalone offer just on Ideally. So this is our 3-month plan for Ideally. This gives you a 3-month pro plan. This is, again, a lifetime discount, so you can lock this in today. But you get a 3 months Ideally Pro account, which is a $291 value. You get the private 30-minute onboarding call with me. You also get my 4 ebook bonus, which is $117 value. And you can lock that in today. 3-month subscription, what should be $558 for just $145 every 3 months. So again, that's at ideally.app/offer. If you want to check that out, you get the 4 bonus ebooks and you get 3 months access to Ideally. Again, you can cancel that anytime. You've got a 14-day money-back guarantee. But most people are really loving Ideally. They're getting a lot out of it. They're playing around with all these different tools. We have some exciting features that are coming in the next week or so. So if you want to lock in that 50% lifetime discount, go and check it out at ideally.app/offer right now. Now, we've got a little bit of time, so if there's any questions on any of that, on anything we've covered today, I would be really happy to answer them for you. Let me just take a little drink because my throat is already getting a little bit dry. But yeah, if there's any questions, anyone's got anything they want to ask about really anything that we talked about here today, about the Ideally offer, about the lifetime discount, or about this, how to come up with original ideas, the techniques we've talked about, the rhyme and replace method, the actual ideas generation process that I've been walking through, I'll be happy to take your questions here. Happy to take your questions right now. So let me just have a quick sip and we'll see if anyone's got anything that comes through. Excuse me, I'm not used to doing these these hour-long sessions. We used to do these all the time, but I've been out of action for a couple of months, and maybe I need to do some vocal exercises to get my voice back. Okay, so yeah, let me just reiterate that on the. So both plans that you see here, the 3-month Pro account for Ideally, these are both lifetime discounts. So if you lock them in now, you'll be getting that rate continually for as long as you remain a member. So I can't up the price on you, even if I wanted to. And so you can sign up for the 3-month Pro account special offer or the 12-month Pro account, which includes the Ideas Workshop course. That includes the T-shirt Business Master Plan course. It includes the 2 bonus courses on trends and design, and it includes access to our private community and the live Q&A calls as well. Okay, we've got a question here from Windsorpedia. Hi from balmy Nova Scotia. Just wondered, what part of the job brings you the most joy? I love when an obscure niche design of mine sells. That's from Windsorpedia. I don't think I can display this on screen actually, but yeah, I've just read it out. So yeah, which part of the job brings me the most joy? Yeah, I agree. Like when you create an original idea, an original design, and you know there was nothing like it, you've not copied anyone, it's your idea, and then it sells, like that example with the 20 stickers. That's a great feeling. I wish every artist could experience that, because number one, it's nice to make a sale, that's cool, but what's better than that is validation that what you did worked. And what that means is you've done it once, you can do it again, and that's what I've proven many times over, is that you have that ability to spot a good idea, which is kind of what I was talking about earlier about, like, taste is quite a big part of this. Taste is in the ability to go, that's a good idea and that's not, or that's weak and this is strong. And if you can do that and you can make a sale, then you can do it again, and you can do it again, and you can do it again, and you can do it in this market, and you can do it in that market, and you can do it in this viral trend that's just appeared, and this new trend that's just coming around the corner. And yeah, it's like the ability to produce, right? It's like you adding value. And if you can do that once, you can do it again. So it's like a confidence boost along with the cash. It's a really great feeling. And obviously, it's kind of that spark. That's kind of what happened, 2013 when I sold my first design on Redbubble. It was that, it was only worth £2 or something like that. It wasn't the money, it was the principle that, hey, this worked. Like, this process works. Maybe it could work again. If I can sell one design when I have 5 designs live, how many designs can I sell in a week when I have 50 designs live? And what value would that be? What would that work out at? And then I started doing, the maths in my head. Okay, how much would I need to quit my job? I'd need to have this many designs up in order to quit my job. So then I just went, head down. Let's create as many designs as we can. Let's see if we can get this thing to work. And then the great thing about that is, as that goes on, you get better and better at what you're doing. So your hit rate goes up. You're not just going, I've added 5 more designs, I'm making 1 more sale a week. It goes, I've added 10 more designs, and I'm making 20 more sales a week or something like that. You actually get better and better as you go. So yeah, the validation is great. Obviously, the cash is good. It pays for everything. But the sense that you have done something that's connected with someone on the other side of the world that you never met, that you never had to speak to, but that you're on a par kind of mentally. It's that thing where someone says, "I see what you did there." It's kind of like that, but in sale form. I had someone actually message me on Redbubble, and they said you knew what I wanted before I even knew it myself, or something like that. It was that, and that's exactly what's happening. You're creating something that people want, but they don't know they want it yet. It's the Steve Jobs thing of people don't know what they want until you show it to them. And I think our job as artists, as creators, as designers, is to show them things. And in particular, if you're trying to do funny t-shirts, then your job is to try, as many funny, original things as you can, because that's where, these ones are going to pop off. Of course, it's not going to be 100%, but it's going to be enough occasionally, and especially when you're good at this, when you have good ideas going in, that you really have a reliable, consistent, steady income off the back of it. So yeah, I hope that helps. Winsipedia, you got me rambling there. And then you also said, how often are you on Know Your Meme for trend chasing? I think if something's on Know Your Meme, it's almost too late. Like, I don't look at Know Your Meme for, I suppose you could look at Know Your Meme for like validation. But that's kind of how I use, it's a bit like how I use Google Trends, which I don't know whether you've taken my Total Trends Toolkit course, but using Google Trends is quite a big part of that. It's validation. It's, here are some potential trends. Let's see which one we should invest in. It's a bit like investing in the stock market or something like that. Which of these stocks should we put money in? Should we put money in this meme or in that meme? And then we can go to Google Trends and see, hey, that meme is on its way up, and this meme peaked last week and started going down, or whatever. So yeah, sometimes if something's already on Know Your Meme, or there's already a Guardian article about it, or there's already USA Today article about it, then it's probably too late, is how I typically think about things. I like to be ahead of that stuff. And obviously you can't be ahead of every meme, but you could be in certain markets and areas where you have, prior knowledge. You're kind of front running what's happening in these spaces, whether that's politics or, it could be a certain online community, whatever it might be. But there's certain opportunities there where if you know, and if you can kind of feel it out. And especially if you do this over time, you begin to develop a kind of sixth sense for when a meme is appropriate. And I've tried to distill those lessons in the Total Trends Toolkit course. But yeah, there's definitely pointers and like signals you can pick up on for spotting memes and stuff like that. Eric says, stupid question, but time management tips. 2 kids, full-time job. How do we find the time to spend it productively? Christian says, Eric, get up 1 hour earlier each day. Yeah, I don't know what time you get up, Eric, but if you've got 2 kids, you're probably up pretty early anyway. We've got 3 and we're up reasonably early. Yeah, time management is difficult. Yeah, I mean, if you've got a full-time job, I guess it does have to come outside the working day, doesn't it? You have to kind of squeeze it in somewhere. I do think, there's a lot of productivity gains to be made using AI, which is how I'm using it. It's not replaced, it's not a designer completely, but for me, it's like a junior designer who can do the illustrations and can give me some concepts, and then I just pick my favorite bits and smush them together into Photoshop and say, okay, that's done. So yeah, I think you just have to, I would say make use of things like AI as much as you can, and yeah, just maybe the other thing is, like, it took me 2 years, a good 2 years before I was making a couple of $1,000s a month consistently with. And this was before Merch by Amazon, so this was from Redbubble and TeePublic and some other sites like that. So yeah, you can't expect overnight success when you're trying to grow a portfolio of designs that makes you money. You have to be prepared to knuckle down on that for a long period. And I was working a full-time job then. I was able to squeeze in. I would sometimes do some designing in my lunch hour, and I would keep an eye on things during the working day and just be like, oh, there's a trend I might try later. So yeah, just trying to squeeze things where you can, I guess, and then just be prepared that, you're probably going to have to put in, I don't know, at least a year before you begin to see some real upticks and stuff. But if you've been doing this for any length of time, and if you've got a portfolio of 50, 60, 100 designs, if you're not seeing consistent sales, then I really think something's gone wrong there, and you need to consider, like the guy with the fishing rod, you need to consider moving location and getting somewhere different, trying something different. So I would recommend, ideally for idea generation, I would recommend you try something different if you're not seeing consistent sales, if you already have a large portfolio of work already up. So hope that helps, Eric. All right, I think we can wrap it up there for today. I'm not seeing any last-minute questions come in. So thanks for joining me, guys. Oh, Andy says, what's your best-selling platform? So Merch by Amazon is still my biggest in terms of income. After that, TeePublic has overtaken Redbubble. TeePublic is, I don't know what they're doing, but they have been slowly gaining on Redbubble for a while now. Redbubble's kind of really been struggling for a while. TeePublic would be my recommended next choice. Then Redbubble is still my number 3. Then I would probably do Etsy, then Threadless, and then I don't know after that. But yeah, those are the best organic platforms for me currently. So hope that helps you there, Andy. I do have a big blog post on my website, michaelessek.com, if you want to check that out. It goes through the top POD companies and the top POD sites that I sell on. But yeah, just let me, to wrap it up here, so the Ideas Workshop and Ideally offer at ideally.app/offer. The link is below in the description if you need that. Lifetime discount, which you can get right now, well over 50% lifetime discount, which you can lock in. So if you need ideas, if you want to develop a systematic approach to developing original ideas, then check this out today. $749 for the 12-month membership, or $145 for the 3-month membership, and you can check it all out at ideally.app/offer. All right, I'll wrap it up there for today. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Windowpedia. Thank you, Eric, Christian. Who else did we have? Dina, Whippet Chick, Sherry, and Jeff. I think that's everyone I can see. Ellen as well. Thank you, Ellen. Have a great rest of your day. I will be back in your inbox next week. But if you need anything, you can email me, michael@michaelessek.com, especially if you've got any questions about Ideally or the offer. I'll be happy to help you. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.